Every giant bearing begins its journey as thousands of tons of recycled steel. Heavy transport delivers the raw material that will become high-strength bearing steel. Sorting ensures only suitable steel enters the recycling process. Oversized steel is reduced into manageable sections for processing. Automated conveyors move steel continuously through the factory. Massive shredders prepare recycled steel for steelmaking. Magnetic separation improves the purity of the recycled steel. Prepared scrap is stored for continuous steel production. The raw materials are charged into one of the largest furnaces in the factory. Extreme temperatures transform raw steel into molten iron. Molten iron becomes the foundation of giant bearing steel. Massive cranes transport molten metal with remarkable precision. Refining removes impurities and produces high-strength bearing steel. Special alloying gives giant bearings their exceptional strength and durability. The steel takes its first solid form as massive billets. Controlled cooling preserves the steel's internal strength. Every billet is inspected before becoming a giant bearing ring. Now the steel is ready for the immense forces that will shape the giant bearing. The giant steel billet enters a 25,000-ton forging press. Immense hydraulic force begins shaping the giant bearing. The billet rotates for perfectly balanced forging. Repeated forging creates the massive bearing ring blank. Heavy rollers expand the glowing steel ring. A giant mandrel forms the bearing's center opening. Rolling forms the massive precision bearing ring. Calibration perfects every dimension of the giant ring. Controlled cooling relieves stress throughout the massive steel ring. Heat treatment strengthens the bearing for decades of heavy service. The heat-treated ring is ready for final cooling. Careful cooling preserves the ring's strength and accuracy. Shot blasting reveals a clean steel surface for machining. Precision machining begins on the massive bearing ring.
The outer diameter is machined with exceptional precision.
The inner diameter is machined to exact specifications. Perfectly flat surfaces ensure smooth bearing performance. The giant bearing is ready for precision finishing.
Precision raceway sway machining begins.
The raceway takes its final shape. Final machining ensures perfect bearing geometry. Grinding creates an ultra-smooth raceway surface. Super finishing reduces friction and wear. Every dimension is precisely verified. High-strength steel becomes giant bearing rollers. Each roller is forged for maximum strength. Heat treatment hardens every roller. Grinding delivers exceptional roller precision. Every roller meets exact specifications. The bearing cage keeps every roller aligned. Heat treatment strengthens the giant bearing cage. Precision machining completes the bearing cage. Every component passes strict dimensional inspection. Assembly of the giant bearing begins. Every roller is installed with absolute precision. The giant bearing is ready for final testing. The bearing receives its final polished finish. Precision balancing eliminates even the smallest vibration. Final corrections achieve perfect rotational balance. The bearing enters its final strength test. Extreme loads verify the bearing's strength. The bearing rotates smoothly under full load. Laser inspection confirms perfect precision. The giant bearing passes final quality approval. A protective coating prevents corrosion during transport. Heavy protection prepares the giant bearing for transport. The bearing is secured for heavy transport. Every restraint is checked before departure. The engineering giant begins its journey. Specialized transport moves extraordinary cargo. The world's largest ports handle massive industrial cargo. Precision lifting protects every finished component. The giant bearing travels across the world's oceans. The journey ends where decades of service begin. The giant bearing arrives at its final destination. Heavy transport positions the bearing with precision. The finished bearing is revealed for installation. Installation begins with absolute precision. The bearing is carefully lowered into place. Perfect alignment ensures decades of reliable service. Every connection is secured under extreme torque. Lubrication prepares the bearing for operation. The giant bearing turns for the first time. Full load testing confirms flawless operation. Every system performs exactly as designed. The giant bearing is ready for decades of service. Built to perform under the toughest conditions. Precision engineering powers the world's largest machines. From recycled steel to world-class engineering, every step demands strength and precision. This is how precision giant bearings are made.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more factory documentaries.